welcome to another exciting episode of Scott's Thoughts. With me, Scott, in case you hadn't figured that out. I know it's been a while, just kind of didn't have a lot of time and didn't really have a lot of things that I could talk about that were just like, I thought were worthy of a video. But I got a few things, and we're going to start with today's. And I'm sorry this one's not in HD. That might not really bother you that much. I know I probably wouldn't want to see this face in HD. But I'm having a little trouble. I was using the webcam on my new laptop, which was HD, to record the last, well, actually, all the Scott's Thoughts that I've done so far. But, yeah, I got a Windows update, and now the camera doesn't work, and I haven't gotten it going again. I should probably contact HP tech support. They might be able to fix it. I know I've downloaded new drivers and every other damn thing, and it's just, yeah, it's not working. Fortunately, that's all I ever used it for. But anyways, so here we are on the HD camera. Upside is I don't have my computer monitor reflecting off my glasses. Downside is it's not HD. I really didn't want to spring for a new HD camera because I don't make money off these videos and I don't really get a lot of views on them, so it's like, is it really worth the investment? But anyways, on to our subject. My subject for today is the 13th Doctor on Doctor Who. If you don't know Doctor Who is a British science fiction series. It's been around since 1963, featuring a time-traveling alien called who calls himself the Doctor. The Doctor, when he's dying, can regenerate into a new body. His alien race is called the Time Lords, and this is something that's unique to them. They can regenerate, they can get new bodies. It was originally introduced because way back in 1960, whatever, with the first Doctor, William Hartnell, I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact year, I apologize, Whovians. He was sick, he was dying, he could not go on with the show, but the show was hugely popular. So they didn't want to just cancel it. So they came up with the idea that the Doctor, at the time, this is what they call it at the time, can be renewed. He can get a new body. So they sought out a new talent to play the Doctor. They got Patrick Troughton. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Or Troughton, or however they pronounce that. I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever actually heard his name spoken out loud, so I'm just going by the spelling I see and guessing the best pronunciation. They found this actor, and he used to play the new Doctor, so they showed the Doctor dying, regenerate, or they didn't call it regeneration yet, into Patrick Troughton. Since then, there have been 13 Doctors, or 14 if you count the War Doctor. Again, if you're not a Whovian, that's a whole other thing to explain. But if you are a Whovian, you know what I'm talking about. He was played by John Hurt, and the reason why he's not technically counted as a Doctor is because in that regeneration, he didn't call himself the Doctor because he was forced to do things very unlike the Doctor out of necessity in a war that they call the Time War. And again, that's a whole other subject that I'm not going to get into right now because it's not really important to the video that we're doing right now. There's more than one of me. Anyways, I really didn't want to know who the new Doctor was going to be until the regeneration in the Christmas special, coming this Christmas. I wanted to avoid finding out. Of course, the BBC just had to go announcing it. And again, I said to myself, I'm going to do everything I can not to find out. And then I was at work this morning, and the TV was on. It was like right before I punched into work. The TV in the break room was on, and the news was on. And they announced who the new Doctor was going to be. And there was nothing I could do about it because I didn't even know it was coming. All of a sudden, there it was on the screen, and before I could tune it out or turn off the TV or anything, boom, there it was. So it was ruined for me. So now I know who the 13th Doctor is going to be. I'm a little pissed off that I found out. I really, 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 really wanted to wait for the Christmas special. But there's a reason it's on the news. Because you're probably going, well, why in the world did the news in America reveal who the new Doctor was going to be? Who a new actor was going to be in a cult science fiction show from the UK? And the reason for that is what I'm going to get into that. I want to give you time that if you don't know who it is, if you haven't heard yet, and you don't want to find out, you can turn off the video now. So this is where the spoilers start. Right now. So, the big reveal is that the new Doctor is going to be a woman. And for all 54 years of the show's history, the Doctor has always been a man. So this is the first time the Doctor's become a woman. Now, his rival Time Lord, the Master, regenerated into a woman in her last incarnation. Because, again, Master's Time Lord can regenerate just like the Doctor can. Some people were a little upset about it, but they didn't make a big deal out of it. This time, there are people flipping out. I mean, there's people who are cool with it, but there are people who are flipping out. They are pissed about this. So I'm going to talk about that. And I'll talk about my thoughts on it, and I want to talk about what other people have been saying. So the new Doctor is, yes, a British actress, obviously British. If they put an American actor or actress in the role, the fans would be more up in arms than they are about this. Jodie Whittaker, a British actress. I don't really know much about what she's been in, because Doctor Who's really the only British program I watch. Scratch that, I also watch Torchwood, but that's a Doctor Who spinoff. It's really the only British show I watch. But yeah, so I don't know a lot about her, but you can Google her. You can check out her credits on IMDb, because she is on there. But yeah, so fans are flipping out, and there's a variety of reasons fans are flipping out. Some fans just don't like the change. The Doctor's been a man for 54 years, and all of a sudden you're making the Doctor a woman. You're saying, well, the Doctor's always been a guy. We always identify with the Doctor as a man. So, you can't do this. This is going to ruin the show. This is what some people are saying. Other people, I don't know. I don't know if they're outright saying it, but there's claims that they're just sexist. I don't know how much that's true, but I imagine for some people it is. They got their male Doctor. They don't want to see a woman in the role, and they're pissed off. I don't know how much that's the case. I mean, I don't know if people being outright sexist about it like that. But, and one of the biggest things that I've heard, even more than all the Doctors always been male, is the idea that this is just a social justice, politically correct, inclusive, tolerance move. It's a purely political move. Just a move to kind of, appease liberals or whatever. I mean, I guess I could see that they might think that, because the whole because feminism is a big thing. The people make a big deal about women getting equal pay, which is totally fair. Women should get equal pay. People are making a big deal how there's not really a lot of women heroes for young girls to look up to. And again, I could see their point there. I mean, there are women heroes, fictional heroes, but not as many as males. So I can see where they're saying that. And on top of all that, there's also the whole transgender thing going on. This doesn't really count as transgender, because this is kind of like it's not about the Doctor thinking, oh, I'm really a woman, or deciding I want to be a woman, however you want to see it. This is because regenerations are random. The Doctor gets no choice in transformations. I don't know. I don't think I'd really say it falls into that, even though some people probably argue that. But yeah, these are some of the arguments people have. People are upset. And maybe there is some merit to the idea that this is a purely political decision, or, well, not really political. I mean, it's not politics, but you know what I mean. It's a tolerance thing or whatever. It's like, why can't the Doctor be a woman? I mean, a woman can be a hero too. Of course, a woman can be a hero too. I would never argue against that. And I've looked at all these arguments, and I don't know. I mean, I see where people are coming from. I don't know whether I think there's anything wrong. I don't really think there's anything wrong with the Doctor being a woman. I do think it's kind of weird to kind of just, after 54 years of being a man, to suddenly make the Doctor a woman. Just because you're used to the man. Do I think it's going to ruin the show? I don't really think so at all. I think there's a lot of interesting things they could do with the female doctor. And so and I'm gonna expound on that. The doctor is always a very take charge kind of hero. You know, he comes into a situation, he sees something wrong, and he takes the lead with it, and just his whole just the way his personality is, the way he does things, the way he takes command, he generally is able to. People generally kind of, for whatever reason, just accept his authority. People who've never met him just accept his authority. Because here's this guy who just seems to know exactly what's going on, and seems to have, and has all this knowledge. Because, spoiler, the Doctor's like 2,000 years old at this point. But even then, even from the beginning of the series, who is always older than any human being's ever going to be. And has all this knowledge of aliens and time travel and history and everything. So, when he comes into a situation, he takes control and gets things done, leads people to the solution. There's people who don't follow him, but, he usually is always able to get a following. So the interesting thing with this is, now he's a woman. Now, yes, there are female leaders, but let's face it, in our world, especially historically, even today, there are people, especially men, who might take issue to a woman taking charge. It'd be interesting to see how this doctor is going to fare in this situation. Like, will she have difficulty getting people to follow her, depending on what point in history she's in or what culture she's in? I would be interested to see her maybe back during women's suffrage. They don't do a lot of things in the United States, but if they did send the doctor back to, say, 1920s America, or 1920, or the early 1900s, when the women's suffrage movement was really building up steam and moving towards the right to vote and everything. It'd be really interesting to see her in that time period. Maybe not necessarily dealing with that issue. Maybe dealing with that issue, but not necessarily dealing with that issue, but just in that culture, in that climate, and seeing, does she have difficulty getting people to follow her now that she's a woman? I mean, that would be, I think, a very fascinating story. It'd also be interesting for the Doctor, who's been a man for 2,000 plus years, who's suddenly a woman, to experience life through the eyes of a woman, to see how differently she's treated. I kind of alluded to this, differently she's treated now that she's female, and just to see her response to her regeneration. Maybe it's different for Time Lords because they know it can happen, but, it's pretty well known that to force a gender change on a person who doesn't want one, and sadly that has happened, to force that on a person who doesn't want one can be very psychologically damaging. Just every bit as much. It's always going to be damaging when you try to force someone to be something they're not. So to see, since this is random, not the Doctor's choice, how is she going to respond? Is it, the Master was a little off his rocker to begin with. So it's kind of hard to see how the gender change when he regenerated into Missy, that's what she called herself, because, Master's male, Mistress is the female version of that. It's really kind of hard to tell how it affected Missy, because she was already out of her freaking mind before she ever became a woman. And I guess you could argue the Doctor's a little nuts. He has been referred to as a madman in a box, namely by himself. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how he responds, or now she responds, to being a different gender, a different sex, than she's been for 2,000 years. You gotta wonder, are they gonna touch on that, or is she just gonna get up and go and be like, okay, I'm a woman now, whatever, on we go, let's fight the Cybermen and the Daleks and whatnot. I don't know, it'd be fascinating. Also be fascinating to see her interaction with her companions. Now you're going, well, why would it be different? Well, the Doctor has had male companions. The companion, by the way, if you're not a Whovian, is the person, maybe a human, maybe another Time Lord, maybe an alien, but it's a person that the Doctor goes on his adventures, who travels with the Doctor in his adventures in time and space. He always has someone. And it's a good thing because when you have that kind of power, you need someone to keep you in check. They've alluded to that in the series a few times. Be interesting to see because he's traditionally had almost entirely female companions. And yes, Whovians, before you jump on me and say, well, what about Adric and what was it, Patrick? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble remembering some of the names. He had a Scottish companion. He's had male companions. In fact, one of his first companions was a man. So he has had male companions, but predominantly female companions, especially in the new series, the revival of the series that started in 2005. I think he's had, well, I guess you could count Mickey as a companion. He's had, if you count Mickey and Captain Jack Harkness as companions, then he's had, I want to say 3 male companions, and even then, they were always accompanied with a female companion who was, for lack of a better term, the dominant companion, the main companion that he'd defer to. So it'd be interesting to see what happens now that the Doctor's a woman. Will she continue to have mostly female companions? Will she have male companions? And being as Jodie Whittaker is a very attractive woman, will they be attracted to her? Because and before you go, oh, sexist man, I'm only saying that because in New Who, he's had a few female companions be attracted to him. So it'd be interesting to see the tables turn, where now that the Doctor's a woman, and a very attractive woman at that, will she have male companions that are attracted to her, and how will she respond to this? It would be very interesting, because, you know, again, been a man for 2,000 years, now you're a woman. And that's another thing. What will her sexuality be? You know, will she... I mean, having been a man 2,000 years, and as far as we can tell from the show, only been into women, will she still be into women? Or as a woman, will she be interested in men? Or do Time Lords care about that kind of thing? I don't know. It's just, there's so many possibilities that I'm thinking it could be very interesting. There's so many ways, so many directions they could go with the female Doctor that, honestly, it is a huge change, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to see how they work. Because the show has always challenged social norms, has always challenged stereotypes, has always challenged injustices, has always challenged the status quo. So I'm thinking, this really isn't that out of sync with what Doctor Who has been about for the past 54 years. When you look at some of the main villains, the Daleks are essentially Nazis. And again, if you're not a Whovian, I apologize. I'm not going to get into it for the sake of time. But you can look up the Daleks. Trust me, you'll find plenty on them. The Daleks are basically space Nazis. They want to kill everyone who's not a Dalek. So the Daleks are basically space Nazis. So they deal with racism and genocide in Doctor Who. The Cybermen, as much as people may not like it, represent socialism. Yeah, they do. Well, mainly communism, but communism is a facet of socialism. And so, Doctor Who deals with social issues. It has dealt with social issues right from the very beginning. So this could be a very great opportunity to deal with social issues, to tackle some social issues that either they haven't been able to tackle in the past, or from a different angle, giving the Doctor a new perspective on sexism, primarily sexism, I guess. But yeah, just to give the Doctor a new perspective and give him it's weird saying this, I'm sorry, I'm not used to saying this, giving her new challenges that she never had before. Maybe difficulties being recognized as an authority figure at certain points in history because of her gender. So this could go a lot of really fascinating ways. So I'm saying, Whovians, to my fellow Whovians, give Jodie Whittaker a chance. Please, give this Doctor a chance. And I know a lot of you hated Stephen Moffat. I didn't hate him as much as you guys did. I didn't mind him that much. I had some issues with him, but they weren't like yours. It's going to be a new producer, a new producer, new lead on the show, new lead writer. Because I think the new producer is also going to be the lead writer, just like Stephen Moffat was. So who knows what direction this show's going to go in? I believe there's a video about his 5-year plan for the series, assuming that all the butthurt Whovians don't get the show shut down by causing the ratings to drop. I'm hoping there's not that many butthurt Whovians who won't even give Judy Whittaker a chance. If he gets another 5 seasons, I really hope he does, because, I'd really like to see where this goes. And plus, remember, no doctor stayed forever. If you don't like Jodie Whittaker, I'm sorry, did I call her Judy Whittaker? I'm sorry. If you don't like Jodie Whittaker, she's not going to be the doctor forever. Unless, of course, the show gets canceled again. And I really don't want to see that happen. Because even if Jodie Whittaker's not that great, eventually she'll step down. There'll be another doctor. Maybe male, maybe female. Who knows? And maybe that doctor will be fantastic. A lot of people were upset about Peter Capaldi, and now a lot of people think he was a fantastic doctor, who very much harkened back to the original Dr. William Hartnell and a lot of his personality. Unfortunately, Capaldi suffered from some bad writing in his first 2 seasons. I really thought the 10th season was very well done. I mean, maybe that's just because I'm comparing it to his last 2 seasons, but they really did step it up and give him some better stories and something better in this last season. It was actually quite well done. So, give her a chance, people. And remember, this is a show that hinges on change. The thing that has kept Doctor Who alive and well, not well, because it was off the air from 1989 to 2005, not counting the TV movie, I'm not forgetting that. But still, what's kept the show more or less alive and popular, that's had the show on the air so long, that's brought the show back, is the show's ability to adapt and change so that it doesn't get stale. Okay? There's people complaining about the new Who. Well, I got news for you, fans of the classic Who. Classic Doctor Who would not survive today. Now, I love classic Doctor. Please don't get me wrong. But it's a product of another time. Okay? It's a product of another time. People want different things today. I still find that the core of the show has not changed. But, yes, the style has changed. It's gone from a show that's a serial, to a show that's 1 hour episodes, maybe 2 hour episodes. It's gone from a show, again, that is serials that didn't necessarily have a story arc that covered the whole series, season, whatever you call it in your country. And now it does, but again, that is modern day television storytelling. That's what draws viewers in nowadays. They've got to do that. But that doesn't mean the show's bad. The show hinges on change. It has to change to survive, but the core values of the show, who the Doctor is, has not changed in 54 years. And I don't think who the Doctor is going to change with Jodie Whittaker. So give her a chance, guys. At least try her out. See how the show does. I think you might find that there's going to be some really interesting stories that they can do that they've never been able to do before with the male Doctor, because they have a female Doctor. And you know what? Like I said, if you don't like her, odds are 3-4 seasons down the line, she's gonna decide to leave the show, and we'll get a new Doctor, and who knows who that's going to be. But I hate to see the show get killed simply because the new Doctor's a woman. Okay? I mean, seriously, guys, get over it, okay? It's a TV, it's an alien. This isn't James Bond, okay? The Doctor's not a human being. I've heard arguments for a female James Bond, and my problem with that is not because anything wrong with the female lead, but because James Bond is a human being, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to change his gender. Now, to have James Bond get killed off and get the 007 job replaced by a woman, that would work. But to change the character, so, and I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm getting to James Bond, except that I suspect James Bond really is a Time Lord because his face keeps changing and he never gets much older. Okay, so I've rambled on long enough about this. All 2 or 3 of you who watch this, feel free to comment below. Who knows, because I'm going to have Doctor Who in the title, and 13th Doctor in the title, I might get more views than usual. But, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. If you're butthurt about this, you know, that's fine. Just, you know, be civil about it. You don't have to agree with me. But, you know, leave me your thoughts. You know, leave me your comments and ideas for future Scott's Thoughts. I've got 2 ideas coming up. 2 ideas, and I'd like to get them out soon. I'm not going to... Actually, you know, I will say what they're going to be. One is going to be about flat earthers. Ooh, controversy. The other is going to be about Kellogg's. And you're going to say, Kellogg's? What? Google Kellogg's vendors, and you'll find out what it's about. But yeah, those are 2 videos that I'm going to be working on soon. The Kellogg's one I'm probably is going to be a little more scripted, only because it's going to involve more research than most of my Scott's Thoughts videos, because it's actually going to be informative as well as my opinions on the subject, where this has been more or less my opinions. Yeah. And yeah, alright, well, I will not see you next time because this is a video and I can't see you, but you'll see me next time. Thank you for watching, and until next time, this is Scott's Thoughts.